Hey guys, welcome to another puzzle platforming tutorial video. This is the third video in the series. Um, Today we're going to be looking at level transitions and efficient ways to change between your levels, change your scenes. So we're going to start off by building a game manager, and then we will go into transitioning between those levels. If you guys are wanting to play the game, I've actually put it up onto itch.io, so I'll link that in the description below. Everything I talk about in this video, if I ever reference a video, it's in the description below. So without further ado, let's hop into this one. For simplicity of this tutorial series, I'm just going to make 5 levels, including this one here, this first level. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new scene. I'm going to make it a 2D node, and I'm going to name this level 2. I'm going to make another node, and I'll continue just to name them up to level 5, and then we'll come back once I'm done doing that. Okay, once you've got your 5 levels sorted, you can go ahead and save them, and we'll save them into stages in levels, and we'll make a folder for each one. So for example, this one will be level 2. And we'll do this for each level, and again, we'll come back once we're done doing that. Okay, I've gone ahead and made all my levels. You can see I'm actually gonna drag my first level over here, so we have all of them in the same area. So we got level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Level 1's obviously complete. So to make our lives easier, I'm going to set up a template that each level is gonna have. So basically I'm gonna grab all of this. I'm holding shift and clicking on each node, and I'm gonna go ahead and copy. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paste it into level 2 here. So I'll go paste, and you'll see it's an exact copy of this, but we don't necessarily want to have the exact same level layout. So what I'm gonna do is come into my tile map here. I'm gonna use the rectangle tool, and I'm gonna use the eraser. I'm just gonna come over here and just go ahead and delete all this, because I'm gonna customize each level. But now we don't have to go and drag in each node, so we already have our players, we have our door, and we have the tile map set up. So now that we have a blank template, we can go ahead and grab this again. You can hold Control or Shift, and you go copy, and then we're just gonna go in each level, paste, paste, paste. Perfect. Okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start building out my other levels. I'll go through each one so you guys can get an idea of what I'm trying to accomplish for the different features of the game. And you can go ahead and copy or make your own levels, it's up to you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start making some. All right, so I've gone ahead and made my 5 levels. I'm just gonna play through them quickly just to show you the features I've added in. So this is my level 2 here. So you can go ahead, and if you want to play a scene that isn't your root scene, you can come over to this little button up here in the top right, click on that, and then you will just play the current scene you're on. So you don't want to fall down into here or else you get stuck. So the objective is to come to the side and then go right through the door like that. You don't want to fall into the pit. Level 3 adds a new challenge where you can no longer use the wall by just walking into it. You have to actually use the side as you jump to get into the door. Next one after that, I made a pit challenge. So you want to make it across, but you're going to fall into the pit. You can't jump at the same time with both of them. So what you want to do is you want to get onto that little brick there, and then you can jump across and make it to the door. Perfect. Okay, the last one I did is a stacked challenge. So let's play this one. So what you want to do is you want to get stacked, and then you can throw your partner up there, and then you're able to traverse the pit here. Awesome. So now we have our 5 levels set up. What I want to do is create a game manager to manage our levels so that we can easily transition between each stage and actually use our door entity. So let's get started. So I have an empty scene, and what I want to do is get a node, just a base node, and I'm going to name it game manager. And under this, I'm gonna add another node, and it's gonna be a node 2D. And I'm gonna rename this to world 2D. Perfect. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add a control node, and I will call this world UI. And we'll be using this world UI as we continue through the tutorial. This is just gonna exist for now. So let's go ahead and save this scene. And we are going to save this into stages, and we'll call it game manager. There we go. And we'll save. And then we're going to attach a script to this guy. So again, go into here, new folder, call script. Boom. Create. Awesome. So we're going to give this guy a class name of game manager at the top here. It'll be important to have access to both our world 2D and our world UI. So we're going to want to have two add-on ready variables. And you should have something like this when you're done. So we have our world 2D and our world UI nodes, and we now have access to them. Perfect. So for now, we're going to want to create another variable, and we'll call it current world 2D scene. And this will be of type node 2D. So basically what we're trying to do is create a system that switches between levels when triggered from like when the players interact with the door. So there's a great video I watched by Stay at Home Dev, which I've linked in the description, that goes over switching scenes and the different ways you can actually switch scenes. So I'm gonna go over each one quickly, but you should really go watch that video or entirely just watch through that channel because it's really good content. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a function called change scene. Perfect. So there's 3 ways to change a scene. Let's go over to our level 1 to see the first. So we'll go into our 2D view. So if we come up to our root node here and we go to visibility, we can actually turn the scene on and off. So what this accomplishes is basically it allows us to turn off the scene. The user can no longer see it while we're running the game, but it continues to run. So like if you had an enemy shooting a bullet, it continues to shoot a bullet even though it's turned off. This is useful for multitude of reasons. We won't go super deep into these concepts. I'm just going to go over them quickly. Another way is to actually remove a child. So we'll be adding a scene into this world 2D here. So let's say we added level 1. We can also go ahead and do remove child. And what remove child does is it removes the scene from the scene tree, but the data of the actual packed scene still stays in the game. So let's say that you killed a bunch of enemies in the scene and then you do remove child. Those updates will still exist if you add the child back into the scene. The last is using queue free. And what queue free does is it completely removes the level from the scene tree and also removes all the data from the memory. So it's basically like a full reset. So yeah, we'll have each option. We won't necessarily use them all. I just think this is a cool way to understand how to change scenes, and it gives you a lot of potential for future games if you want to use this method. So we're going to add a couple arguments here. So when we change a scene, we're going to want to pass in the scene name, which is basically the file path to our scene. We'll also have 2 bools. So we'll have one for delete, and delete will basically, if it's true, then we're going to queue free. And we're setting that default to be true. And then we have another bool for keep running. So keep running would mean that we will just toggle the visibility of the level and keep that level running. And if neither of these are selected, they're both false, then we will just remove the child from the scene. So that'll be easy to do if we just do some simple conditional statements, so I'm going to write that out. So when you're done writing out your conditional statements, it should look like this. So we have our three options here. So if delete, queue free. If keep running, then we will come down and toggle the visibility. Else we just remove the child. Remember, this keeps data in memory, this keeps everything running, and this removes everything, full reset. So we want to also have the ability to check if there is a current scene. So we'll actually want to indent this, and we'll say if current scene is not equal to null, then we'll want to go through all this here. Because if it is null, we don't want to do these operations because we'll get an error. So just a little error checking there. We will want to actually access our scene. So we're going to create a variable called scene instance. And this will be equal to load. And we'll do scene name. And we'll do dot instantiate. So what this does is it takes our scene name, we load it, and then we instance it as a pack scene. So now we can go ahead and add this as a child to our world 2D. So we'll do world 2D, add child, and we'll go scene instance. Perfect. And then we'll also keep access to this, and we'll go current world scene equals scene instance. There we go. So we now can keep track of our scene instance, and the instance is now in our world. We added it as a child. We're gonna go ahead up to our project here, and we're gonna go to run, and we're gonna change the main scene. So we're gonna erase that. We're gonna come up to here, we're gonna go stages, game manager, and we actually want our game manager to be our initial main scene, because this is going to be controlling everything from stages to UI. So it's important that when we press that play button, we're going right to this scene. So now I want to come up here, and I'm going to set up a ready function, and I'm going to do a change scene, and I want access to our first level. So I'm going to come over to my files over here, and I'm just going to look up level 1. Perfect. So you can go level 1. And I'm going to copy path, and then I'm going to come up here, and I'm just going to paste that between two quotes, and now if we click play, it should load our first level. Awesome, let's go. So that is working, and now we just have to set up our levels so that when the door is interacted with, it sends out a signal that indicates the level needs to switch. So let's get to that. So for signals, we're going to be using custom signals for our level transitions. We've already been using some signals in our game, but these are built-in signals. For example, we've used on our detection boxes, we've used on area entered. This is a built-in signal that we access through the node panel. But we can actually create our own custom signals. So let's come over to our utilities folder here, and we're going to go ahead and create a new script. And we're going to call it global.gd, and then come up to project settings and click on that button, and then we can just click global.gd, and it just auto names it that, and that will work. And we go add. Perfect. So this global script is going to be super useful for when we're trying to access our custom signals throughout our game. And essentially what this is called is a signal bus. And it's basically going to be a hub for all of our custom signals to exist. Basically, we will initialize them in here, and then we can connect to them through our lower scripts because we're using this global script that can be accessed everywhere. It'll make sense as we continue. So let's say that I want to have a signal that is called start level transition. So we'll want this signal to emit when we click on the door. So let's come over to our door. So then we can come down here, and what we can do is global dot emit signal, and then we can just type in start level transition. Perfect. When the door is activated, this signal is going to be emitted, so we need to connect this signal somewhere. So let's come to our game manager, and we're going to connect this signal in our ready function. So you go global dot connect, and then we can go start level transition. And what we can do is give this a function that it will call when this script detects a signal. So we'll go transition level. And this, you don't want to actually put the brackets at the end. This is just passing in an argument. So what we can do is under our change level, we'll go func transition level. There we go. And for now, we will do a print statement, let's say. And we'll do this to check if everything's working. Okay, so let's give that a try. So we shouldn't see, yeah, cannot pass. But if we come up to the door, we should see transition level. Oh, it works. Okay, perfect. We are going to want to be more specific about which level we're transitioning to. We can go about this a couple different ways, but I think how I want to do it is I want to come to each level, and I'm actually going to create a script. And I'm just going to call this level. So I'm going to put this on each level. So I'm going to go ahead and create this in the base levels folder. And we'll call it level.gd. Create. Give it a class name of level. There we go. And we're going to give it an export variable. And we're going to call this next level. And this will be a type string. There you go. That's all we will really need to do for our levels here. So this will just be able to tell us what level is the next level. Like, so if we're on level 1, the next level will be level 2. And we're just going to set this in our export variable so we can access it in our game manager. It just makes our code look a little cleaner. So what you can do is in your level or your file searcher over here, we can just type in level, and we'll go copy path, and we'll come to our inspector, and we'll just type into our next level field here. We'll just put in that string, and we'll do that for each level. We'll come back when we finish that. For level 5, I'm going to just add the path back to level 1 so we can have a loop in our game. But you can do whatever you want. If you want to have a credit screen or it goes back to the title screen later on, maybe that's something you could do. But for now, we're just going to have this set up. So now we have the ability to access the next level for each stage. So this is going to be super useful. So if we come back over here, when we're transitioning level, we can now go ahead and underneath this, we can go change scene, and we can take our current level and do dot next level. So basically when we put this in here, we're accessing that next level string, and then it's going to change the level. So let's try that out. So we come over here. Oh, it works perfectly. Okay. Nice. Okay, so now we can start moving on to giving a little more juice to our level transitions. So the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to get access to our animation sprite. So we'll go var, so we'll go @onReady var, and we'll go animation sprite. There we go. And then we can go animation sprite dot play, and we'll do open. And we want to connect a animation finished signal. And we'll say if animation sprite dot animation, which gets the name of the animation that just finished, equals open, then we want to emit a signal. So we're going to come to our global script again, and we're going to do signal door opened. So that will emit when the door opens. So let's go back to our door script, and we'll do global dot emit signal door open. And who are we going to want to connect this to? We'll connect this to the player. So let's come into our player script, and at the top we're going to want to create a func ready function, and we will go global dot connect, and we will do door open, and we're going to connect this to a function called fade player, and we'll create this kind of close to the bottom down here, func fade player. And what we're going to do is we're going to no longer allow the user to move the player. So we're going to actually cancel the physics loop. So we'll go set physics process false. So this will allow, this basically stops the physics loop from running. And under this we will do animation sprite dot play, and we will do our fade animation. So let's see what happens if we do this. Awesome. So we're also going to want a signal for when the player fades away. So we'll go signal player faded. So now we'll come back to our player. Actually, I'm going to save that. And then we'll come back to our player. And we're going to need an animation finish signal in here. So let's go to node, animation sprite, animation finished, connect. And we're going to do if animation sprite dot animation equals fade. Then we want to global dot emit signal, and we'll do player faded. So now we're going to want to come back to our door, and we're going to actually connect this signal to our door. I know this is confusing. I hope you guys can follow along. If not, just replay this a couple of times and I swear it will make sense. So global dot connect, and then we'll do player faded, and we'll create a function called close door. So I'm gonna come under here, go func close door, and what I'm gonna do is create an animation sprite, and we'll do dot play, and we'll do close. And when we have our animation equal to close and it's finished, we want to then do our global dot emit signal and start, or we named it start level transition. So let's try this out. So when we click on this, we should see the whole transition occur, and then when the door closes, we switch levels. Nice. Okay, you saw that when it closed, the players were still visible, so let's fix that really quickly. So let's come over to our animation sprite in our player. And at the end of the animation, let's just add a blank frame. Now let's do that to both players. So come over to the animation sprite, fade, and add that blank frame. So let's try that again. So come over here, open the door. Awesome. Okay, we don't have that issue anymore. Okay, so I think for today, this will be the end of the video. I'm just thinking that maybe we'll make this into a 5-part series. I just didn't want to drag this video out too long. So in the next video, I'm thinking we'll work on the tile map transition. If you go back to the first video, you can see a good example of what I'm talking about, but the tiles will fade out and then it completes the level transition. And we'll also work on adding some other stuff like particle effects to the door when you go in front of it. And for the 5th video in the series, that will all be UI stuff. So we'll create the main menu and we'll create the pause menu. I just think that if I kept going on this video, it'd get to like 40 minutes and that's getting a bit long. So I think we'll leave it here. I appreciate you guys for watching, and if you have anything like questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. And if you so wish, please subscribe and like the video. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.